live. There's something for everybody at Cafe Latte in St. Paul, from award-winning soup, salad, sandwiches, and desserts to treats from the bakery made fresh daily and a pizza and wine bar. Cafe Latte is located on the corner of Grand Avenue and Victoria Street. Check them out at cafelatte.com.
Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
Broadcasting from the studios of AM 950 KATNF, the progressive voice of Minnesota, and airing on WCPTA 20, Chicago's Progressive Talk. Welcome to The Gailey Show, the only daily LGBTQ progressive radio news and talk show in the United States. I'm your host, John Parker, joined in studio by my executive producer, Jim Pounds.
Hey, all.
Also streaming on our YouTube channel right now. If you like what you're seeing, click that subscribe button and let us know how you are enjoying the show. Operation Metro Surge is ostensibly coming to an end. DHS claims over the weekend that 1,000 agents have left Minnesota and a few hundred more will be allegedly leaving today and tomorrow. We're going to talk more about those numbers later in the show. But up first, if it is actually ending, what happens now? To help us understand the task that is in front of us, we are joined by Jose Alvillar. Jose is an artist, educator, and organizer based in Minnesota. Jose first began organizing as a high school student. In 2013, he started organizing with the Minneapolis Federation of Educators Local 59 to increase teacher pay and union membership. Currently, he serves as the director of youth programs and lead immigration organizer for Unidos Minnesota, where he co-founded the Minnesota Ethnic Studies Coalition and the Youth for Ethnic Studies Youth for Ethnic Studies Coalition. Jose has been leading Unidos Minnesota's Monarca Rapid Response line, which is a member coalition of thousands of workers, students, people of faith, parents, clergy, business owners, teachers, caregivers, and young people. I want to say that because the coalition has been amazing and necessary, and the work that they have been doing is so crucial to getting ICE out of Minnesota the past 70 plus days. Monarca has trained over 20,000 people as neighborhood observers to help protect people's rights where it matters on the ground in our communities. Jose, welcome to The Gailey Show.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Okay, so the past week is feeling transitory. It looks like when I look at people over papers, that website observing, those numbers have gone down of observation of ICE agents. But I'm curious, what are you seeing and what are your folks seeing on the ground happening over this past week? Like, are the detentions going down, the observances going down, the violence going down? Are you seeing that reflected at all in the work you're doing?
Thank you for asking that question. I think I want to start off by saying that, yes, last week, Tom Homan had a press conference in which they mentioned that there was going to be a drawdown. And at the same time, we haven't quite necessarily seen that. Yes, there has probably been less ICE sightings here in the Twin Cities, but what has actually happened is that they've been more sightings in the suburbs. So actually, the day that announcement happened, there was an increased sightings in Shakopee. Like, a lot of community members ended up being affected, and it happened throughout the entire day. Like, it started in the morning and went up until like almost close to the evening. And so what we've actually been seeing in our rapid response system is that there has been a change of tactics. And I almost wonder if part of it is because there's a lot more legal observers in the Twin Cities than there are in the suburbs, and then even in parts of greater Minnesota. I've had to even hear from first-person accounts that there's been sightings in Austin, which are not really being talked about, and there's not that many legal observers there. So, part of our understanding is that this is also a political stunt. Like, at the end of the day, they care about their money, which is why they were making those announcements, because they knew that the deadline for the February 13th congressional funding was coming up. And so we're now at a place where we have like a partial, governmental shutdown because of the continued lack of funding, which, we want to ensure that there is no more funding for ICE, that they do freeze the funding and they do a drawdown of the $170 billion that they've gotten in the past.
So they claim, now you're telling us that they've kind of shifted tactics here with the shutdown, the partial shutdown of DHS. Do you see them being forced to make good on that promise?
I think part of their strategy would be to like in the public media or in the public audience to ensure that that's what is being seen and or conveyed. What we have seen here in Minnesota is that, just to allude it on how proud I am to say that I'm from Minnesota, although technically I'm not from Minnesota, but I'm proud to be a Minnesotan now, is that we've been able to do an enormous amount of organizing. We've been able to like shift the tide and been able to like resist and fight and organize in this moment so much that they're in a place where like even the public audience, like the general public, is like, oh, this is not what we want. Even people that were previously supportive of Trump and the administration are in a place now more so where like we are not happy with how ICE is operating, and then with the murder of both Renee Good and Alex Preddy, I think we're in a moment where like we really are pushing them to a corner, and so we shouldn't stop now.
Mm-hmm. That's a good segue into helping us know more about the Monarca Rapid Response, because that work doesn't end now that they are supposedly leaving, because there's still going to be an unnamed number of ICE agents who are going to return and ominously called a security force, which we don't know what their tactics are going to be or how big they are going to be. So talk to us about the Monarca Rapid Response line and the
Yeah,
team.
yeah, no, for sure. I mean, honestly, by now we have nearly 50 trainers. It's the only way that we've been able to train like thousands of people. And that 20,000 number is actually now closer to nearly 40,000 people trained in the state of Minnesota and parts of Western Wisconsin. But again, that wouldn't be possible had we not have like an X number of like trainers, because otherwise it would be me doing all the trainings and I could not do that. So I'm super grateful for like the infrastructure that we built. Honestly, had we not built it like a year ago, I don't think we would have been able to survive this moment.
That speaks to, and I feel the same way. I'm not from Minnesota originally, but I'm very proud to be a Minnesotan right now, particularly in this moment, because that organizing, folks ask, well, how did you all do this? This didn't start 70 days ago. The organizing has been going on for a very long time here. Can you speak to that? Because I think a lot of folks are asking, well, how did you all do this? Because there is this threat now that they are going to go to other cities and do what Holman said over the weekend multiple times to media. We're going to flood the zone with agents. So this is still on the table for a lot of folks. Can you talk about that organizing that you all have been doing, both the work that you do through Unidos and through the Monarca Rapid Response?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, part of our organizing and the way we operate is that we're a 501c3, 501c4. And so when it came down to the 2024 elections, we were doing a lot of elections work, primarily focusing on the state, ensuring that we leave some level of democracy, that we can continue to fight and push for wins here at the state level. Um, Obviously, things ended up where like we didn't have a trifecta. We had a split government as well here in the state of Minnesota. It was literally right after elections. Me and one of my other coworkers, we had the option of, do we go rest for 1 week after the elections, or do we continue to work? And we chose to continue to work. So we held a community forum that same month in November of 2024. And in December, we ended up just shifting to like what we need to do is build the infrastructure to get ready for whenever they come from Minnesota, because we knew that this day would happen. We knew that they were going to come after Minnesota, that they were going to try to make an example out of our state because of all the things that we've won, because of Tim Walz, because of literally again like the things that we passed in 2023, and also because Minnesota has never voted for Trump. And so we built that infrastructure and had our very first training on February 6th of 2025. And so we've now had a full year of like building that, having some lessons learned, reconfiguring some things, some of the back end stuff as well. I would say for sure the back end stuff was the most crucial part, like, because essentially we needed to create a 911 dispatch for community members to show up, which is profoundly much harder than what it sounds like. So yes, that's kind of what we've been doing, and we will continue to organize. We've also been pushing on corporations like Target as well.
So that is something that you all are working on as well. There's the Unidos Minnesota Day at the Capitol. Can you tell us what you're all going to be focusing on and when that day is going to be?
Yeah, that day is going to be February 26th. So just in a couple, almost a couple of days from now. It's next week, actually. It's going to be a Thursday. And so really what we're trying to push for is state level demands. Like we know that, yes, if ICE does leave, and if there is like a drawdown and there's like less of thousands of agents here, the impact and the chaos and the harm that they cause here in Minnesota will continue. Like we're facing an economic crisis where small businesses have had to close. Families have already gotten eviction notices because they couldn't pay February's rent. And now March's rent is coming up. And so how do we ensure and address that Minnesotans continue to stay afloat, that Minnesotans can continue to go outside? Like we still have families that are sheltering in place. And we might want to make sure that people can go outside without fear and that ICE is not using children as bait. And so really it's about going after those fights, going after those wins and ensuring that Minnesotans could just live dignified lives.
Mm-hmm. It is a split house. Knowing that, what are some things that you hope to see that this legislature does for all of the, businesses and people who have been affected? I mean, tens of thousands of people who have been affected by this.
Yeah, no, definitely. We definitely recognize that with the split house, it's going to be very hard to like move certain things. But I also feel like at the core of it, we can do like some level of harm reduction for businesses and people who are like facing eviction notices. Like, what can we do that could be, in a way, can be in alignment with every single person? And I think and when we continue to push our legislators here, that at the core of it is like we're talking about addressing the constitutional rights for people, right? Like it's not just an immigrant issue that we're talking about. It is not just immigrants who are being affected by this economic crisis. It's literally everybody. I've talked to college students who have told me like, hey, I'm not working enough shifts because people are not coming into the restaurant, which is affecting my ability to pay for rent. So I think moving on a messaging that encompasses every person here in Minnesota and not just immigrant people is the way that we can provide some wins.
To the folks who are thinking, oh, well, the agents are going away, should I even train? Would you like to see people still training with the Monarca Rapid Response?
Oh, absolutely. And if anything, I think our understanding is that things are going to shift and that is perfectly normal. And I think our strategies should shift as well. Like until they entirely leave Minnesota and until they leave every other community, because let's also remember that if they leave Minnesota, they're likely going to another state and it will get progressively worse. So our work is not done. We will continue to fight, to organize, and we will come after them at the elections.
Thank you, Jose. This has been really special. Thank you for taking the time. The websites are monarcamn.com, iceoutnowmn.com, and unidos-mn.org. Thank you, Jose. Thank you for all the work that you've done for us.
Thank you.
Stay tuned. More after this break, folks.
My name is Major John Wesley Powell. It's 1869, and I'm leading a motley crew down the rough waters of the Grand Canyon in the name of America, and to name everything we see after ourselves. Join us for the danger, the friendship, and the adventure of men on boats at 10,000 Things Theater, running February 19th through March 15th. For tickets, visit 10,000things.org.
Hey, it's Patrick for Zero Res. February is the month for love, so when was the last time you gave your carpet the love and attention it deserves? Maybe you've been procrastinating on the holiday post-mortem cleanup at your house. Are you worried if you got down on your hands and knees what you might see or smell? Not only is your carpet one of the biggest investments in your home, but it's also the largest air filter in your home. And what's worse, you're going to be stuck inside breathing this nasty stuff for months. And you're just in time for Zero Res's post-Valentine's Day flash sale. Get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned for $109 plus a 4th room free. But you have to book by February 20th. Call my friends at Zero Res right now, 952-ZERO-RES, or go online to ZeroResMinnesota.com and say you want the AM 950 special. A 4.9 rating on Google reviews and over 21,000 satisfied customers can't be wrong. Backward or forward spells the same. Zero Res.
Located just north of 50th in France, the Great Wall Restaurant has provided a delicious taste of authentic Chinese cuisine since 1981. Specializing in Szechuan and Peking dishes, they offer one of the most extensive menus in the Twin Cities. Favorites include hot and sour soup, pan-fried dumplings, and mushu pork with homemade Chinese pancakes. Stop by their Edina location or call for takeout at 952-927-4439. See the full menu at greatwallrestaurant.us.
It's no secret that medical care costs are soaring, with nursing home and skilled nursing care costs being some of the highest. You don't have to deplete your savings in order to receive long-term care. At Schroman Law, we work with families to develop and implement strategic planning for medical assistance for long-term care, for assisted living, nursing home care, or home-based care. Contact us today to schedule a free consultation at schromanlaw.com. That's SCHROMEN law.com.
Hearts and beliefs collide in the poignant comedy, The Cake, playing at Theater in the Round. Della is a talented Southern baker whose life changes when she's asked to create a wedding cake for her late best friend's daughter, who's marrying a woman. The production offers a tender and funny look at the complex intersection of faith and family. The Cake runs February 20th through March 15th at Theater in the Round. Tickets and more information at theaterintheround.org.
Welcome back to the Gailey Show. I'm John Parker. We are coming up on the bottom of the hour here in studio with my executive producer, Jim Pounds. Okay, I want to take some time to dive into those. What was that?
Well, are we going to do a ticket giveaway?
Oh.
Or at least mention it.
Yeah.
We're going to
jump in and say these things. I'm so focused on Operation Metro Surge, but part of that is being able to give things to our listeners because it is important to give back to the community right now in any way that we can. So we're going to do a ticket giveaway right now.
Do you want to do it right now?
Let's do it right now.
Okay.
The number is going to be 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205, and we are giving away a pair of tickets to
I Love You, You're Perfect Now Change. That's a musical, small cast musical, half a dozen people, 5, I think, that you may not have heard of. It was an off-Broadway show, and it's not done very often, but it's really great and contemporary and shows love in all of its positives and negatives and permutations. And I think if your Valentine was not happy with the gift you gave them, here's something you can give them either this Friday night or this Saturday night, or free tickets to I Love You, You're Perfect Now Change. It's at Inver Hills Community College, so it's in the South Metro. I think anybody in the Twin Cities proper and South would find it an easy place to go. So you can decide whether you want to go Friday night or Saturday night when you call Patrick.
952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. Very happy to be able to give away these pair of tickets to I Love You, You're Perfect Now Change for this Friday or Saturday. Your choice? Your choice.
Yeah.
Let's give these away on us. An evening on us, folks. All right. So I wanted to dive into these numbers that they're claiming. So yesterday and over the weekend, Borders Are, Tom Homan, is saying that 1,000 agents have already left the Twin Cities. Now, after Bovino was kicked out, 300 apparently went with him, and then 700 followed the week after, according to their numbers. So of the 3,000-ish plus, that would mean that there's only 1,000-ish left in the Twin Cities, with several hundred leaving Monday and Tuesday. How many is several hundred? We're not quite sure.
600 sounds like a good guess of still people here.
Okay. Yeah, I
mean, who's to know?
We can't independently verify these
things.
Since
they can't give you accurate numbers from the federal government, then we'll make up our own numbers.
Now, when we are looking at the map of people over papers, it is the number of sightings, observations, and detentions are down. Yes, we can see that just looking at the map. But that doesn't mean we've seen a lot of stuff, as Jose was saying before the break, and I look at this map here, it's all in the southern part of the metro area. When I look here in Rochester this morning, they went into a business through the back door and detained a couple people there. And so it is it is still happening, and they are being still aggressive about it. Last week we saw lots of things about people being pulled over on the road. Yes, Jim.
Well, I was just going to say, if you're the one person that gets arrested by these morons, it's just as bad as it ever was. Do you know what I mean? The quantity becomes unimportant if you happen to be the person that they're brutalizing. So I would still be really cautious this week. Really cautious.
Well, and this is the thing that I want to get into here, is that Homan claims there will be, quote, small force security force who will remain in Minnesota to respond to what he called agitators. Now, we can presume that means legal observers and demonstrators. He also says that there will be agents that will be here to enforce the cooperative agreements between law enforcement and DHS, but no one seems to know exactly what those are, who has signed them. Minneapolis, the cities of Minneapolis and St. Paul, Hennepin County, and 40% of county sheriffs, according to the Strib, have said they don't have any agreements with DHS. Homan also said the agents will remain to investigate the protest at City's Church, which they're obsessed about. We're going to get into that in a second. And that also they will remain for fraud investigations. Now, I'm really trying to figure out, why is Border Patrol and ICE going to be investigating alleged social services fraud?
Anything he said, this is a man who accepted a bribe. It's on tape, and he denies it. So he has zero. So you can stop saying Tom Holman says, because Tom Holman is not a credible witness. Yeah. Based on what you said.
I understand that. He says a thing, though, and we have to try and verify it. There are a lot of things, like I do not mention data that he gives about the number of arrests that he's made, or the number of, the evidence timeline of somebody's death or something that happened. I don't say that until it is independently verified. But he is literally telling us that agents are going away, and we need to be able to verify how many agents are leaving and when they are leaving. That is at least one number that I'm willing to report here. Still trying to get independent verification on that. But we can see on the website, People Over Papers, that there are fewer observances and detentions that are happening. Doesn't mean that they're all gone. And that's what I'm trying to figure out about, what does he mean when he says a security force is going to stay here? Because there is this 2 points here that I want to make. Coming back to City's Church, Doug Wilson is the pastor of Christ Church in Moscow, Idaho. His lieutenant is Joe Rigby, who founded City Church here in St. Paul. Rigby is now in Idaho, working directly for Doug Wilson. This is obviously City's Church. For folks who don't remember, this is where they arrested Don Lemon and local journalist Georgia Fort. Doug Wilson recently said in a podcast a few weeks ago, last week or the week before, that 1.5 million undocumented people have self-deported, his word, because of what's been happening here in Minnesota. Now, I think he's relevant because he is a major Trump supporter. Pete Hegseth is a member of his church. He has ties to the administration. Don't know where he's getting this number of 1.5 million, but I thought it was really important to note that he feels this is important, what's happening here, to get people to self-deport. Now, on Friday, the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, the minority members, the Democrats, released a report. And in it, they allege they're talking about third country deportations, right? So this is when the Trump administration takes somebody whose home country is Mexico, but they deport them to, Taiwan. And then and it's like, well, they don't even,
so
that's not their country.
They kidnap them.
Essentially. Yeah. Well, this is all what this has all been.
Yeah.
And so, but what they found, the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, is that of those sent to third countries, 80% of them have already returned to their home countries, a number of them on the dollar, paid for by the United States. Oh, we're already at a break. I'm going to pick this up when we come back from a break. You are listening to The Gailey Show on AM 950 KTNF, the progressive voice of Minnesota, and WCPT 820 Chicago's Progressive Talk. More about these numbers and third country deportations when we come back.
This is Santita Jackson. Monday through Friday, 6 to 8 a.m. Central, we'll bring you the best progressive talkers, thinkers, and doers on AM 950, Minnesota's progressive voice.
Crooners is a classic supper club with a wide range of entertainment. Make your reservations for a parade of international, national, and local artists in the main stage showroom, the intimate Dunsmore Jazz Room, or outdoors at the seasonal Belvedere Under the Stars space. Or enjoy Maggie's Piano Lounge. Enjoy 4-star food and drinks with first-class supper club service. What are you waiting for? Go to croonersmn.com for more information and schedule. That's croonersmn.com.
Get ready to zoom into a world full of color, música, and alegría at Children's Theater Company. Go Da Go, Ve Pero Ve is a bilingual musical bursting with playful, high-speed energy as dogs drive, swim, and race to the big dog party. This joyful espectáculo blends English y Español with expressive physical storytelling. Go Da Go is sure to have you laughing, moving, and howling with delight. On stage January 20th through February 22nd. Tickets at childrenstheater.org.
In today's uncertain times, Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces believes that a fire can add comfort and security to your life. At Woodland, our mission is to connect you to a place for fire that works.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces installed our wood stove years ago, and we still love it. Watching the fire, feeling the heat, is a joy we experience every day. And knowing we have a reliable heat source makes us feel snug and safe.
There are many choices in wood, gas, or electric. For diversity and styles, at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, we display over 180 models, and 35 of these are burning displays. You can experience the glow and warmth of a live fire.
Whether wood, gas, or electric, find a fire that warms your heart, a fire that adds comfort and security to your life. See the many choices at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, located on the corner of East Franklin and Riverside Avenue in Minneapolis, and online at woodlandstoves.com.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces since 1977. For over 48 years, our slogan has been, out of the ordinary products and services. Our mission is to get you a fireplace that works in your life.
Hi, this is Frank Brown with Minuteman Press Uptown. It's election season. If you're campaigning for a candidate, your outreach needs top quality union printed materials, from direct mail and yard signs to door hangers, buttons, t-shirts, and flyers. Minuteman Uptown is your union shop to get people to the polls. We print everything. We'll keep your candidate top of mind, target your message with a laser focus, and maximize your voter turnout efforts. Get started today at mpuptown.com. That's mpuptown.com.
With a look at your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Today, sunshine with a high of 50, then tonight, cloudy with a low of 35. Step into Forts at Children's Theater Company. It's a fort-building wonderland where theatrical elements, evolving light and soundscapes, and towering towers of cardboard boxes set the scene for shared creative play. Forts, now through April 5th at Children's Theater Company. Tickets at childrenstheater.org.
AM 950 KTNF, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Coming to you from the studios of AM 950 KTNF, the progressive voice of Minnesota, and airing on WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk. Welcome back to The Gailey Show. It is 33 minutes after the hour. I'm John Parker, joined in studio by my executive producer, Jim Pounds. And if you like what you're seeing, we're streaming live on our YouTube channel. If you're watching after hours on our YouTube channel, please click that subscribe button. Leave us a comment about how you are enjoying the show. So before the break, we were talking about the numbers, and specifically the numbers of agents still left in Minnesota. And we were talking about third-party deportations. And this is where the U.S. government is sending people to a third country that the individual is not native to. That is not their home country. And on Friday, the United States Senate Foreign Relations Committee issued a report that said that over 80% of those who had been sent to a third country have made it back to their home country on the United States' dime most of the time. And they gave an example of a migrant from Jamaica. The US government spent $181,000 to deport him to the dictatorship of Eswatini in Africa. And then a few weeks later paid to send him to Jamaica. They took a Mexican national, flew him to South Sudan, and then a short time later flew him to Mexico. And an unnamed US official in this report told the committee that these third country deportations, the point of them is to terrorize people, to arrest somebody, to shuttle them around the detention centers here in the US, and then to fly them out to a third country where they have absolutely no connection to, put them in a jail over there, or just drop them off. And then as it turns out, sometime later, we'll pick them up again and then take them back to their home country. The idea being is that you don't want to get detained by ICE or Customs and Border Patrol because they'll just send you anywhere. So when they say, Homan says, that they're going to leave a, quote, small security force, it begs the question of how is the security force going to act while they are here? If the point of all of this is to terrorize undocumented people to, quote unquote, self-deport, we have restaurants and businesses in the Twin Cities whose doors are locked. You cannot just walk in. You have to ring a doorbell or knock on the door, and they will come and let you in so that ICE doesn't barge its way in. How is that going to stop then? How do we begin to have trust in our community if we know that there's this quote unquote small security force that may or may not be prowling around the Twin Cities for an undefined amount of time? Ostensibly to investigate fraud or to investigate the protest at City's Church, which, I mean, at this point, what left is there to do in that investigation? They're not saying right now. But they are spending a lot of money to send people to third-party countries. They have spent money, like millions of dollars, to the country of Palau, who hasn't even accepted anybody yet. They haven't even sent anybody there. They're just giving them money in the event that they're going to send some people there. And of course, according to the committee, they're not tracking that money. They're just saying, hey, governments, tell us what you did with that money that we paid you. So when Doug Wilson, when this unnamed U.S. official testifies to the Senate Foreign Relations Committee and says the point of all of this is to terrorize, then we probably shouldn't assume in Minnesota or in Chicago, in LA, that now that they're gone, that they're not still doing things, detentions, arresting people. The goal is to terrorize people. That is the point. All right, Jim.
Yes. I mean, I think the federal government, under the control of the Republicans, which I used to be a Republican when I thought it was about smaller government and all that back in the 70s. But this has been the most wasteful, irresponsible, economically abhorrent group of people, the exact opposite of anything the Republicans used to stand for. So if you've been a Republican for decades, you better check in and just see what's going on, because this is outrageous. You should be very angry if you're a Republican. You should be very, very angry if you're a real Republican.
a lot of them just want to change the subject and don't talk about ICE anymore. They want to talk about fraud in Minnesota. Okay,
Right.
That's great. The legislative session starts tomorrow, I believe, and so we'll see
Yes.
what the Republicans have to offer. If they're even going to talk about it, or if they're just going to be talking about fraud.
A good
But
pie in the face of
will-
Lisa DeMuth would be a
Damn
good
it.
first day event.
No.
If somebody wants to plan that,
No.
I think that'd be great.
No. All right. So obviously, we will continue to be covering this story. Tomorrow, we're going to be looking at the numbers because the session starts tomorrow, and also want to be looking at Chicago numbers, like because it happened in Chicago first. Well, actually, it started in LA and then Chicago last summer and fall, and now us. What are the numbers that we're looking at here in terms of the economic impact? And where people ended up? There's a great article from NBC5 in Chicago talking about what happened to 600 detainees. Do we know where they are now? I'm going to be checking in with that tomorrow. So the economic impact is going to be the major story here, and how we're recovering from that moving forward. Also, the ACLU filed a pretty jaw-dropping report on behalf of legal observers in court at the end of last week, and on behalf of 80 legal observers, and what they endured and went through at the hands of ICE and CPB agents. And so we're also going to be getting into that, watching that case as it plays out in the court. We're going to shift gears here and kind of do a 180 turn, because we're going to talk about the team LGBTQ. We're halfway through the Olympics, and Team LGBTQ has won how many medals, Jim?
I don't have any idea. 5.
Yes, they have won 5 medals. How many of those do you believe are gold?
3.
4. 4 gold medals, 1 bronze medal. So we see in actually, I think, how are they setting that up here? Looking at the numbers here, Paul Poirier last week, who is part of the Canadian ice dance team, he won bronze in the individual ice dance event. Guillaume Cizeron, French ice dancer, part of that team, won gold controversially. I'm going to talk about that in a second. The Mathilde Gremaud from Switzerland won a gold medal in freestyle skiing. Breezy Johnson won a gold medal in alpine skiing. Amber Glenn, figure skating, won a gold medal as part of the U.S. figure skating team event. And we are looking at a number of things still coming up here. I know Connor McDermott Mastowi is going to be part of team figure skating. It's going to be, that event's coming up, I believe, or team skate?
Speed skating.
Speed skate. What did I say?
You said figure skating, which
Did
I'll
I?
bet he's not very good
No.
at.
Speed skating.
Yeah.
Brittany Bowe is also going to be competing in speed skating. Amber Glenn is going to be back on the ice tomorrow. Obviously, there's all the ice hockey. That's where the majority of queer people are on those teams over the next weeks. We'll see how ice hockey plays out for so many. The entire queer contingent from Finland are all on the ice hockey team. That's 6 players on the Finland hockey team are part of the queer rainbow. So we're gonna be watching out for that. Also, Tineke den Dulk from Belgium, short track speed skating, won a bronze medal, or is that a gold medal? The icon is unclear here. They have a medal though, according to outsports.com, tracking it there. This would put, if you look at just having 5 medals, comparing that to other countries, where would that place the team LGBTQ, Jim?
That's a really good question. I would say 8th.
6th.
Oh.
6th place.
Yeah.
When you look at all of the countries, we would be in 6th place. So that is very exciting. We'll continue to see how all of our queer folks are performing.
You're making me want to have a queer country where we can all just
be
left alone.
Be great. Wouldn't that be great?
In my opinion, yes.
You can go to outsports.com where you can see Team LGBTQ. You can see all of the folks, all of the athletes, and then you can look up from there of when they are competing. You can't do that on the website, as far as I can tell, but then you can go to NBC's Olympics page and look it up from there. I do also want to say there's some commentary news from the Olympics that I just want to point out here. So for a long time now, or for a few cycles, we've been having to endure Snoop Dogg as a commentator with Martha Stewart at the Olympics. Now, I find that very interesting that there was no blowback after he went to a kids movie, animated movie with his grandkids, and then was complaining on a podcast about how awful it is that there was a lesbian couple and that, you know, that shouldn't be there. And my kids asked me, why is a woman married to a woman? And I didn't know what to say. And I'm like, Snoop Dogg, have you listened to any of the lyrics that you have written in your career about women? That is going to be harder to explain to your grandkids than the fact that women can marry women.
Right.
However, Gabriela Papadakis, who is the former partner of Guillaume Cizeron, she won the gold medal with Guillaume as part of the ice dance team, the French ice dance team, the previous cycle. The previous cycle. And she came out with a book this January, her memoir of being a ice dancer, professional, winning a silver medal, winning a gold medal. And it was pretty damning. You could see that she made some allegations against Cizeron, that he was demanding and that he was controlling and that she was sort of listing out all the things that, you know, he was doing. But she was not alleging sexual misconduct. This is important, Jim. This is important because what she was just saying is that he was very difficult. This felt like it was, emotionally abusive. It's taking me a long time to figure that out. Well, so NBC News fires her.
Well, that's
for
wrong.
this.
That's wrong.
They said that she could not be an objective judge of ice dance because of what she wrote in her book. So it's like, well, wait a minute. Snoop Dogg's running around here saying that, G-rated films shouldn't have queer characters in them because apparently he can't explain to his kids that two women can be married to each other. But here you have an ice dancer who is the best in the world, who could provide the best commentary. And as I've been listening to her commentate over the past season, she was really good at this. And frankly, she was very, I don't even want to use... She provided very good commentary on Cizeron, right? The entire season, even though she knew what was coming in this book. So the idea that, before the book, she was fine as a commentator. After the book, she wasn't. That to me was really, really weird. And so it just sort of says what, it's just the flavor of that does not sit well. NBC Sports, that they would be approaching their commentary that way. But when we come back, Jim is going to have a review of Whoosh at History Theater in St. Paul. You are listening to The Gailey Show on AM 950 KTNF, the progressive voice of Minnesota, and WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk.
Celebrate Valentine's with the perfect musical. The Chameleon Theater Circle is proud to present I Love You, You're Perfect, Now Change. Bright, sexy, witty, and fun, this show will appeal to anyone who has ever fallen into the deep end of love and come up gasping for air. Shows run 3 weekends starting February 13th at Inver Hills Community College. Just Google Chameleon Theater to see times and reserve tickets. I Love You, You're Perfect, Now Change with the Chameleon Theater Circle. Get your tickets now.
Hi, I'm Mary T. Caring for others runs deep in my family. My grandmother, Rosa, was a nurse who cared for people in their homes more than a century ago. Inspired by her compassion, my mother, Margaret, and I founded the Mary T. family of companies nearly 50 years ago. Today, we continue that legacy across Minnesota, Wisconsin, Maryland, and Arizona, providing senior living, assisted living with memory care, home health, hospice care, rental housing, and support for people with disabilities. Each service is personal, creative, and focuses on the unique needs of those we serve. We also believe in joy and community, which is why we opened Crooner Supper Club in Fridley, a place to celebrate life with music, laughter, and connection. At Mary T, we're proud to be a Minnesota family company rooted in compassion, inclusion, and respect, and proud supporters of AM 950 and the values that this station represents. Visit MaryTinc.com to learn more.
Congratulations to Mary T, named one of the most admired CEOs of 2026 by the Minneapolis-St. Paul Business Journal.
What if I told you that toxic pesticides from crop seeds and lawns have spread all over Minnesota's lands and water, devastating wildlife and posing risks to our health? Well, it's true. But a coalition of Minnesota farmers, community members, anglers, and more are taking action to protect our state from neurotoxic pesticides. To learn more and get involved, visit cleanerseed.org. That's cleanerseed.org. And tune to Food Freedom Radio.
Hey, Chanhassen in Eden Prairie. It's Alex with Buzz Cut Mowing. Why wake up early, freeze, and shovel snow when I can handle it for you? I provide fast, reliable snow removal so your driveway and sidewalks stay clear, safe, and stress-free all winter long. Relax, enjoy your morning coffee, and let me do the heavy lifting. Visit buzzcutmowingmn.com today and make this winter easier, warmer, and worry-free with Buzz Cut Mowing, because nobody likes shoveling snow.
Uncover the rich history of Minnesota through Whoosh, a lively and deeply moving ghost tale. Solo artist Andrew Erskine Wheeler masterfully brings to life a range of characters, intertwining the rich history of St. Anthony Falls in the post-Civil War era with the story of his Irish heritage. This award-winning show weaves a hauntingly local and unforgettable ghost story through compelling song and storytelling. The History Theater's Whoosh plays January 29th through February 22nd. Find tickets at historytheater.com.
Welcome back to The Daily Show. We are coming up on the top of the hour. I'm John Parker. Jim Pons, my executive producer, is going to provide us a review now of Whoosh. Jim is a veteran of the Twin Cities gay scene, having been in over 105 shows across venues all over the Twin Cities. And we both saw it yesterday. You are more qualified than I am to give a review of it, but I just will say that it was very interesting to me that there was so much history of Minnesota's role in the Civil War, being the first state to volunteer troops to go down there. And it just, what was striking me about that, or was striking to me about that, was how so much of what we're dealing with as queer people and as Americans is originating in the South, in Florida and Texas, and then being exported all over the rest of the country. So it was really interesting to see that history of Minnesota and the Civil War being the first to go down there to fight the Civil War, and then Minnesota being the first state since the return of Trump to really fight back and win against, a Southern strategy, if you will. So, Jim, go ahead. Your review.
Well, and can you give the phone number one more time? We still have that pair of tickets for Chameleon Theater Circle. So
I want to give this away, folks.
Give the phone number.
952-946-6205. 952-946-6205. A free pair of tickets to I Love You, You're Perfect, Now Change. You get to choose if you want to go Friday night or Saturday night. It's at Inver Hills Community College. 952-946-6205. Please, folks, call in. I want to give that away. All right, Jim, go.
So this show at History Theater is very consistent with a lot of things they've done over the years. They find a slice of Minnesota pie that none of us have tried, and we learn about people we didn't know or things that we didn't understand were connected. And Andrew, who I've worked with once and is a really wonderful actor, is more importantly kind of a great human being and sort of a great humanitarian. And so he wrote this is his second Fringe show, I believe, second or third. And that was great. And it was well received, and they're always well received and all of that. But the History Theater said, this one is so compelling, like John was just saying, let's put up a full production of it, because And so what they did is they expanded it. And now when you hear one person show, you might think, this is very expansive, visually expansive in terms of sets and what do you call that? Video sort of, enhancement and live music. And I mean, it has all these elements that Allison Vincent and I'm sure Andrew and others,
friend of the show, Allison Vincent, who
Right.
directed Whoosh,
has brought to be able to expand this into a full show with an intermission. And I thought what surprised me was that all of those those elements of theater, the crafts that are not the obvious, the acting and so forth, and the script, those things made this a very enjoyable, very unique, very memorable evening or afternoon, in our case, in the theater. I highly recommend it. Andrew's writing is great, his acting is great, but it really is more than that. He's even a little, as the narrator, as the main character, he's a little bit of a teacher or a sage. Then he gives us some gentle ribbing about things Minnesotan, or the name of a lake that's actually the lake from the people who were here first, using their name. And one of the funniest things I thought was that he makes us all say that Native American word a couple of times, like we're in school. And he said something like, "See, it's really not that hard to learn a new word." It was great. So I highly recommend it. He's got, I think, 5 more performances. It closes on Sunday. It should be a full house. It's worth every penny, in my opinion. So highly recommended.
Things that stood out to me were the history. So the character that he's playing is what's the word that he used? Not a lumberjack,
something on the river. You mean the river rat?
Yeah, he's talking about logging,
right,
and being a logger. And I love that how he mentioned that we have this idea of lumberjacks being individualism and did it by themselves and out in the woods and chopping down all these trees. And he actually told us the story of like what it's like to be a lumberjack back then. It was set in 1881, and just the conditions, you're like, oh wow. That was intense. Like 18 guys all in a tiny little bunkhouse sleeping next to each other, and the how they would clean their wool socks. And you can imagine what wet wool smells like when you're trying to clean those. And it was interesting how he took artwork and said, here is this artwork from, Minnesota, of the St. Anthony Falls. And he sort of unpacked that for us through the lens of this character. And then, some artwork from the Civil War. And is it a big part of the story is the St. Anthony Falls? I don't say it'd be its own character, but there's a story about the St. Anthony Falls that's pretty, it's not giving away, is it? To say what happened?
Yeah, but
well, he says it like right at the beginning.
That he goes over it?
Yeah.
So
that's
what
character
he's famous.
He's playing.
That's what he's famous for.
Is the only guy who survived.
Right.
He didn't do it on purpose, but he accidentally in a boat ended up going over the falls and survived. And so that story kind of keeps coming up over and over again throughout the play. And there's actually one part that's very dramatically visualized. Allison, if you're listening, that was well done. But it was really fascinating to also then get the history of Minnesota's participation in the Civil War, because I lived in Minnesota for 14 years. And so much of that, like Jim, you're a Civil War buff, and so I've gotten some of that history from you.
Right.
But I've never been into a space before with other people where we've been talking about Minnesota's role in the Civil War and what happened and the impact of that. And so that was really, I know I'm looking, we're already at time.
Oh.
So I guess we'll have to pick that up another time. But it was really fascinating. Also want to shout out to the North Shore Players. Is that the name of the band? Not band. It was 2 guys who did the music.
Northern Shores,
and they were fantastic. Fantastic.
Yep.
How they performed on stage.
Go see it.
That is all for us today. Up next in Chicago on WCPT 820, it is Democracy Now! Here in Minneapolis, it is the Matt McNeil Show, followed after that by Native Roots Radio. And then at 10 p.m. Central, Step Into the Unknown with Greg Bakken on Ghost Box Radio. And until this time tomorrow, keep it queer, America.
Keep it queer.